1 year had passed since humans and Valerians first met in space. To celebrate this important day, Captain Deho organized a party on the Hanguk Explorer. Both human and Valerian crews were invited. The ship's largest room was decorated with symbols from both worlds. Earth foods and Valerian treats were laid out on long tables. Soft music played in the background, sometimes human songs, sometimes Valerian melodies. Deho stood near the entrance, greeting everyone who came in. He smiled when he saw Zal, the Valerian ambassador who had been part of the first contact. "Team, Ambassador Zal, I'm glad you could come," said Deho with a small bow. "Captain Deho," said Zal, his skin shimmering with friendly gold patterns. "I would not miss this celebration. 1 full Earth year of friendship between our peoples is worth celebrating." They walked together to get drinks. Water for Deho and a blue Valerian juice for Zal. "Much has happened in 1 year," said Zal, looking around at the mixed crowd of humans and Valerians. Some were talking in small groups. Others were trying foods from each other's worlds. "It has," agreed Deho. "We've learned so much from each other." Zal's skin changed slightly, showing purple dots that meant he was thinking deeply. "Yes, though I must admit the more we learn about humans, the more puzzling your species becomes." Deho laughed. "How so?" "Well," said Zal, "when we first met, we discovered humans eat chemicals that would poison Valerians. Then we learned you become unconscious every day and have hallucinations you call dreams. Later we saw your people can run until other species collapse from exhaustion. And most recently, we found you have internal skeletons that can repair themselves after breaking. When you put it that way, I suppose we are a bit unusual," said Deho with a smile. "More than unusual," said Zal. "By Valerian standards, humans are, how should I say this, terrifying." Deho almost choked on his water. "Terrifying us? Think about it from our perspective," said Zal. "You have evolved traits that seem designed for survival in the harshest conditions. You eat pain-causing substances for pleasure. You hunt by chasing prey until they die of exhaustion. Your bodies can repair severe structural damage. You willingly enter death-like states daily." As they talked, Jiwan walked over to join them. She had been the science officer during first contact and now worked closely with the Valerian science team. "Are you telling Captain Deho how scary humans are again?" she asked with a smile. "I was just explaining the Valerian perspective," said Zal. "No offense meant." "None taken," said Jiwan. "It's interesting to see ourselves through alien eyes." "There is something that puzzles me even more than your biological traits," said Zal, his skin now showing blue waves of curiosity. "Your species has devoted enormous resources to peaceful contact with other worlds. You seek friendship rather than conquest. Humans have protected Valerians with their bodies. Your engineer Sunmi risked serious injury to save Diplomat Rek. That's what friends do," said Deho simply. "But it contradicts all logical predictions based on your biology," said Zal. "Species with your traits usually become aggressive conquerors." Jiwan thought for a moment. "Perhaps that's the weirdest thing about humans. We evolved as predators but choose to be protectors. We can be dangerous, but we prefer to be kind." Across the room they saw Sunmi enter. Her arm was no longer in a cast, though she still walked with a slight limp. Rek immediately went to greet her, his skin glowing with warm colors. "Look at them," said Zal. "The human who broke her bones to save a Valerian, and the Valerian who now considers her a personal friend. This is the paradox of humans that fascinates us most." More guests arrived, including Admiral Vex. The tall Valerian military leader moved through the crowd, stopping to talk with both humans and Valerians. "Even Admiral Vex has changed his view of humans," said Zal quietly. "At first he saw you as potential threats. Now he speaks of humans with great respect. We respect the Valerians too," said Deho. "Our differences make us stronger together." As the party continued, Deho noticed how much things had changed in 1 year. The first meetings had been formal and careful. Now humans and Valerians talked like old friends. Some even tried to learn each other's languages instead of relying on translation devices. Later in the evening, Admiral Vex called for everyone's attention. The room grew quiet. "Today marks one Earth year since our peoples first met," said Vex, his voice deep and formal. "In this short time we have learned much about each other. Some of these lessons were surprising." There were smiles and small laughs from the crowd. "The Valerian High Council has been watching our work together closely," continued Vex. "Today I am pleased to deliver their decision." He held up a small device that projected a large image in the center of the room. It showed Earth surrounded by stars, with a special symbol next to it. "Humanity is being offered full membership in the Galactic Confederation," said Vex. "This is the fastest any species has been granted this honor." The humans in the room looked at each other in shock. This was much sooner than anyone had expected. "Furthermore," said Vex, "the Council has requested that humans take a special advisory role in Confederation defense matters." Now it was the Valerians' turn to look surprised. Defense advisory roles were usually given only to the oldest and most powerful species. After the announcement, people broke into excited groups talking about what this meant. Deho found himself back with Zal and Jiwan. "Defense advisors?" asked Jiwan. "Why us? We're new to space travel compared to most Confederation members." Zal's skin showed a pattern that humans had learned meant amusement. "Think about what we've learned about humans this year. You eat things that would kill other species. You keep going when others would stop. Your bodies can repair severe damage, and yet, with all these survival traits, you choose peace and friendship." "I still don't understand," said Deho. "The Valerian High Council believes that any species that can survive what humans consider normal must have valuable insights on defense," said Zal. "But more importantly, any species that chooses friendship despite having such formidable traits is one we want as an ally." As the party began to wind down, Zal took Deho aside for a private word. "There is something I have not shared with the others," said the Valerian ambassador. "Something I reported to my superiors." "What is it?" asked Deho. "The strangest thing about humans isn't that you eat spicy food or break and heal your bones," said Zal. "It's that despite evolving as apex predators, you genuinely seem to prefer making friends to making war. This is extremely rare in the galaxy." Deho smiled. "Is that why the Confederation wants us as defense advisors? Because we don't want to fight?" "Exactly," said Zal. "And also because all the other species now believe it would be better to be very, very good friends with humans." As Deho looked around at the room full of humans and Valerians celebrating together, he thought about how strange the path had been. Humans had gained respect in the galaxy, not because they were powerful, but because they were weird, and used their weirdness for good. It turned out that being weird wasn't a problem after all. Sometimes being weird was exactly what the universe needed. 9 months after first contact, humans and Valerians worked together on many projects. They built a new space station near Earth's moon. It was bigger than any station humans had made before. Both species sent their best workers to finish it. Quickly, Sunmi was one of the top engineers from Earth. She was small but strong, with quick hands and a quick mind. She could fix almost anything. The Valerians respected her work. Rek was a Valerian diplomat. He was tall like all his people, with skin that shifted between green and blue. His job was to make sure humans and Valerians worked well together. One day, Sunmi and Rek were checking a new part of the station. Workers had just finished building it, and they needed to make sure everything was safe. "The support beams look good," said Sunmi, looking up at the ceiling. "Let's check the air system next." Suddenly, a loud alarm sounded throughout the station. "Warning, structural failure detected in Section 7. All personnel evacuate immediately." The computer voice was calm, but urgent. "That's where we are now," said Rek, his skin turning pale with fear. Sunmi grabbed his arm. "Run! This way!" They ran toward the exit, but they were too late. With a terrible noise, part of the ceiling broke free and fell. Sunmi saw it coming down right above Rek. Without thinking, she pushed the Valerian diplomat aside and tried to jump clear herself. but she wasn't fast enough. A heavy metal beam hit her arm and leg, knocking her down. More debris fell, trapping both of them in the corner of the room. Rek wasn't hurt badly, just a few cuts. But he saw that Sunmi was in trouble. Her right arm and leg were pinned under the metal beam. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice shaking. Sunmi's face was tight with pain, but she nodded. "I think so, but I'm stuck." Rek tried to lift the beam, but it was too heavy. "I'll call for help," he said, reaching for his communicator. But it was broken in the fall. "Mine too," said Sunmi, checking her own device. "We'll have to wait for the rescue team. They'll find us soon." They waited in the small safe space under the fallen debris. After a few minutes, Sunmi tried to move and gasped in pain. "What's wrong?" asked Rek. "I think my arm is broken," she said, looking down at her right arm. "And maybe my leg too." Rek's skin changed to a deep purple, which meant he was very upset. "Your internal support structures are damaged. This is very serious." Sunmi was surprised by how worried he seemed. "It's just a broken bone. It hurts, but it's not life-threatening." "But your internal supports are broken." Rek's voice was high with concern. "How will you function?" "They'll heal," said Sunmi simply. "Bones grow back together if you set them properly." Rek stared at her. "Your supports repair themselves?" Before Sunmi could answer, they heard noises. The rescue team had arrived and was clearing the debris. "We're here," called Sunmi. "Two people, Engineer Sunmi and Diplomat Rek." It took the rescue team an hour to reach them safely. When they finally cleared a path, medical teams rushed in. The human doctors went straight to Sunmi while Valerian medics checked Rek. "Compound fracture of the radius and ulna," said one human doctor, looking at Sunmi's arm, "and a simple fracture of the tibia. We need to get her to medical right away." Sunmi looked at her arm and saw that the broken bone had pushed through her skin. It was bleeding, but not too badly. The Valerian medical officer stepped closer, curious. "You have internal support structures that fractured?" he asked, his voice filled with a mix of horror and fascination. "Yes," said the human doctor. "Broken bones. They'll heal in about 6 weeks with proper treatment." "Heal? You mean grow back together?" The Valerian medic seemed shocked. "Of course," said the human doctor. "Human bones can repair themselves. It's a normal process." As the medical teams prepared to move Sunmi, she looked at Rek. "Are you okay? You're not hurt?" "I am fine, thanks to you," said Rek. His skin had turned a warm gold color, which humans had learned meant deep gratitude. "You saved my life. Just doing my job," said Sunmi with a small smile, then winced as they lifted her onto a stretcher. 2. Days later, Sunmi lay in a hospital bed on the station. Her arm and leg were in casts, hard covers that kept the bones still so they could heal properly. Rek came to visit her, along with Admiral Vex and Captain Dae-ho. "How are you feeling?" asked Dae-ho. "Not bad," said Sunmi. "The pain medicine helps. I should be back to work in a couple of months." "You will return to work? With broken supports?" Admiral Vex seemed surprised. "Once they heal, yes," said Sunmi. "The doctors say the breaks were clean and should heal well." Admiral Vex turned to the Valerian medical officer who had joined them. "Explain this healing process." The medical officer had been studying human biology. "It is remarkable," he said. "Human bones are living tissue. When broken, special cells called osteoblasts create new bone material to connect the broken parts. Within weeks, the bone can be as strong as before." "And this is normal for humans?" asked Vex. "Completely normal," said Dae-ho. "Most humans break at least one bone during their lives. I broke my arm twice as a child." The Valerians looked at each other. Their skin changed colors rapidly, showing their amazement. "You must understand," said Rek to Sunmi. "Valerians have no hard internal structures like your bones. Our bodies are supported by cartilage and dense muscle. If our support tissues are damaged, they cannot repair themselves so completely." "So that's why you were so worried," said Sunmi, understanding now. To you, a broken bone sounds like a permanent injury. Yes, said Rek. When you pushed me out of the way, I did not understand the sacrifice you were making. I thought you had permanently damaged yourself to save me. After the visitors left, Sunmi rested in her hospital room. Later that evening, she was surprised when Admiral Vex returned alone. I have questions, said the Admiral, sitting beside her bed. Your bone broke through your skin, yet you remained conscious and helped Rek before accepting medical attention. The adrenaline helped with the pain, said Sunmi. It's a natural response in humans when we're injured, and now your body will rebuild this internal structure, making it as strong as before? Yes, said Sunmi. Maybe even stronger at the breakpoint. Admiral Vex was quiet for a moment. In our first meetings with humans, we learned you eat pain-causing chemicals for pleasure. Later, we discovered you experience death-like trances daily. Then we saw you can run until other species collapse from exhaustion. Now we learn you have internal body armor that repairs itself. Sunmi laughed, then winced at the pain in her ribs. I never thought of bones as body armor before. Each new thing we learn about humans is more surprising than the last, said Vex. Many species now wonder what other strange abilities your kind might have. When Admiral Vex left, he went straight to an emergency meeting with the Valerian High Council via secure communication. The human engineer's bones will heal completely, he reported. They have internal supports that can repair catastrophic damage. How does this change our assessment of humans? Asked a council member. They are tougher than we thought, said Vex. And braver. The human Sunmi knew her bones might break, yet she put herself in danger to protect Rek. Their bodies can recover from injuries that would permanently disable one of us. After the meeting, a new report went out to all Valerian ships. Humans approach with respect. Their strange biology makes them resilient beyond expected parameters. They may be small, but they are not fragile. 6 months after first contact, the Galactic Confederation invited Earth to join in the Galactic Olympic Games. These games happened every 5 years on the neutral planet Nexus 4. Over 30 alien species would compete. Coach Minho led the small human team. They were the newest species in the games, so no one expected much from them. Most alien delegates treated the humans like curious children. Don't worry about winning, Minho told his team as their ship landed on Nexus 4. We're here to learn and make friends. June, the team's best runner, nodded. He was tall for a Korean man with strong legs and a quiet smile. He didn't talk much, but he could run for hours without stopping. The opening ceremony was amazing. Thousands of aliens filled a huge stadium. Some had 4 arms, others had wings, and some looked like walking trees. The humans felt small among so many strange beings. The humans from Earth, announced the speaker as the Earth team walked into the stadium. The newest members of our galactic family. There was polite clapping, but not much excitement. Most species didn't know anything about humans yet. The first few days of games were hard for the humans. They didn't win any medals in swimming races against fish-like aliens or jumping contests against species from low-gravity planets. But everything changed when the endurance events began. The ultra-marathon was a race around the entire stadium, complex, about 100 kilometers. Most species sent their best runners. The Valerians sent Nex, who was known for winning the last games. Good luck, said Nex to June at the starting line. The first race is always the hardest for new species. June just smiled and nodded. The race began, and at first things went as everyone expected. The fast species took the lead. Humans were in the middle of the pack. The race would take hours, so no one paid much attention at the start. 2 hours into the race, news began to spread around the stadium. Some of the leaders were slowing down. By the 4-hour mark, many racers had stopped to rest or dropped out completely. What's happening with the human? Asked an alien delegate, pointing at a screen showing the race. June was still running at the same steady pace. He wasn't fast, but he wasn't slowing down either. One by one, he passed aliens who had started much faster. By the 6-hour mark, half the racers had quit. The heat of the day was intense, and most species couldn't cool down fast enough while running. The human is still running? asked Zor, the Pleiadian representative, looking shocked. How is that possible? Minho smiled proudly. Humans are persistence hunters. Our ancestors chased animals until they got too tired to run anymore. You hunt by making prey run until they collapse? Zor moved his chair a little farther from Minho. On the big screen, they could see June. His shirt was dark with sweat, but he kept moving forward at the same steady pace. He passed Nex, the Valerian champion, who was walking slowly now, looking exhausted. What is that liquid on his skin? Asked another alien, pointing at June. That's sweat, explained Minho. It's how humans cool down. The water evaporates and takes heat away from our bodies. They leak water to cool themselves while moving. The aliens looked at each other with wide eyes. By the 8-hour mark, June was in first place. Only 5 racers were still running. The rest had given up. When June crossed the finish line after 9 hours and 20 minutes, the stadium was quiet. No one had expected a human to win anything, especially not one of the hardest events. June didn't celebrate much. He drank some water, sat down to rest, and waited for the other finishers. Remarkable, said the announcer. The human runner has won the ultra-marathon in his first Galactic Olympics. The next day, more aliens came to watch the human team. The swimming endurance event was about to begin, and now everyone wanted to see what humans could do. The event was simple. Swim as far as you can without stopping. The pool was huge, with different depths for different species. The human swimmer, Sujin, entered the water. She was not as fast as the fish-like aliens, but she kept going. When other species had to come up for air every few minutes, Sujin could hold her breath for much longer. How long can humans stay underwater? Asked an alien official watching. Sujin swim. Trained swimmers like Sujin can hold their breath for over 2 minutes while swimming, said Minho. Some humans can go over 5 minutes with special training. The alien official's eyes widened. They can stop breathing for minutes at a time, while still moving? Minho nodded, not realizing how strange this sounded to other species. When the event ended, Sujin won a silver medal. The humans celebrated as if it were gold. That evening, Minho was invited to meet with the Galactic Sports Council. Representatives from many species sat around a large table. We are impressed by human endurance, said the council leader, a tall blue alien. Your species has natural abilities that are quite unexpected. Thank you, said Minho with a small bow. Humans have always valued endurance. What we find most interesting, said another council member, is how your bodies work. You chase prey until they collapse from exhaustion. You cool yourselves by leaking water. You can hold your breath while exerting yourselves underwater. Minho nodded. These are normal traits. For humans. The council members looked at each other. One whispered to another. Their entire hunting strategy is terrifying their prey to death. We would like to learn more about humans, said the council leader. Your species has unique qualities that many find fascinating. After the meeting, Minho found Admiral Vex waiting for him. The Valerian looked troubled. Your June defeated our champion, said Vex. Nex is one of our best athletes. June trained very hard, said Minho. He runs every day. That is what concerns many species, said Vex. What you call training, others might call preparing for war. Creatures that can run for days, swim for hours, and do not stop when tired. These are the traits of apex predators. Minho hadn't thought of it that way. Humans just like to challenge ourselves. We push our limits to see what's possible. Yes, said Vex. That is what makes your kind both impressive and concerning. Over the next few days, the human team won more medals in endurance events. They couldn't match the strength of some aliens or the speed of others, but no species could keep going as long as humans. On the last day of the games, Minho noticed something had changed. The other species no longer treated humans like curious children. Now they showed respect and a little fear. The humans may be small, he overheard one alien say to another, but they don't stop. Imagine if they decided to chase you. Minho smiled to himself. Humans had made quite an impression at their first Galactic Olympics. They were seen as weird, yes, but being weird wasn't always a bad thing. 3 months had passed since humans and Valerians first met in space. Now they worked together at a joint research station orbiting Mars. Scientists from both species studied the sun and planets. They learned from each other every day. Yoonji was one of the best human scientists at the station. She studied how the sun affected Mars. Her Valerian partner was named Ziv. He was tall and thin like all Valerians, with skin that changed colors, slightly when he was excited. "Yoonji, you seem tired today," said Ziv as they looked at data on a large screen. Yoonji yawned and nodded. "I didn't sleep well last night. I had strange dreams." Ziv tilted his head. The Valerian still found many human behaviors confusing. "Sleep," he said slowly. "This is the state where humans become unconscious every day, yes?" "That's right," said Yoonji. "We need about 8 hours of sleep each day to stay healthy." Ziv's skin shimmered with blue dots, which Yoonji had learned meant he was curious. "May I ask you more about this sleep?" asked Ziv. "Our species rests, but we do not become unconscious like humans do." Yoonji smiled. Cultural exchange was part of their job too. "Sure, what do you want to know?" "You say you had strange dreams. What are dreams?" "Dreams are like stories or experiences that our brains create while we sleep," explained Yoonji. "Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. Last night I dreamed I was flying over Seoul, my home city." Ziv's skin now showed purple swirls, which meant surprise or alarm. "Your brain creates fake experiences while you are unconscious. Like hallucinations?" Yoonji hadn't thought of it that way before. "I guess dreams are sort of like hallucinations." "Yes, but they're normal for humans." "And these happen every night?" Ziv asked, his voice higher than usual. "Most nights, though we don't always remember them," said Yoonji. "Why? Don't Valerians dream?" "No," said Ziv firmly. "Our minds remain quiet during rest periods." They went back to work, but Yoonji could tell Ziv was still thinking about human sleep. After lunch, he had more questions. "Do humans ever have problems with this sleep state?" he asked. "Oh, sure," said Yoonji. "Many people have sleep disorders. Insomnia means you can't fall asleep. Sleep apnea means you stop breathing briefly while asleep. I sometimes get sleep paralysis." "Sleep paralysis?" Ziv's skin now had red streaks, which Yoonji had never seen before. "It's when your mind wakes up but your body is still in sleep mode so you can't move," explained Yoonji. "It can be scary because you're awake but frozen. Some people even see scary figures or feel a weight on their chest." Ziv stood up suddenly, his tall frame towering over Yoonji. "You experience consciousness while trapped in an immobile body? And see beings that are not there?" Yoonji was surprised by his reaction. "It only lasts a minute or so. It's uncommon but happens to many humans at some point." "Are you okay, Ziv? Your skin has red marks I haven't seen before." "I need to speak with my team leader," said Ziv. And he hurried out of the lab. Yoonji was confused. Was sleep paralysis really that strange to Valerians? Later that day, Yoonji noticed more Valerians looking at her in the hallways. Some seemed nervous. Others seemed impressed. It was odd. That evening, when she went to the station's dining area, she found her human friend Minki sitting alone. "Have you noticed the Valerians acting strange today?" she asked as she sat down with her food tray. Minki nodded. "Something's up. A Valerian scientist asked me if it's true that humans become paralyzed while conscious. I told him about sleep paralysis and he looked terrified." "That's weird," said Yoonji. "I was just explaining sleep to Ziv today." "I think you started something," said Minki with a laugh. "Look at the Valerian table." Yoonji turned. A group of Valerians sat together, glancing at the humans and talking quietly. More Valerians entered the dining area, and Yoonji saw something new. There were Valerians in uniform she hadn't seen before. "Are those guards?" she asked quietly. "I think so," said Minki. "The station has 3 times as many Valerian security officers today as yesterday." Something scared them. The next morning, Yoonji went to the lab as usual. Ziv was already there, but he wasn't alone. Another Valerian stood nearby, wearing what looked like a science uniform, but with a small weapon on his belt. "Good morning, Ziv," said Yoonji carefully. Good morning, Unji, said Ziv. His skin was calm today, mostly its normal color. This is Lox. He will be joining our research team. Unji nodded politely to Lox, who nodded back but said nothing. Is everything okay? Asked Unji. Everyone seemed strange yesterday. Ziv's skin flickered with green spots, which Unji knew meant he was uncomfortable. I shared what you told me about human sleep with my team, said Ziv. It caused concern. Concern? About sleep? Unji was confused. In our history, Ziv said slowly, there are stories of a terrible illness that made Valerians see things that were not there and sometimes become unable to move. Many died. It was a dark time. Oh, said Unji, understanding now. And I told you humans experience similar things regularly. Yes, said Ziv. The Valerian High Command is reassessing humans. Reassessing us how? Asked Unji. Before Ziv could answer, the station's director called all staff to the main meeting room. Captain Deho was there, along with Admiral Vex from the Valerian fleet. Deho looked annoyed. It has come to our attention, said Admiral Vex, his tall form towering over everyone, that humans regularly experience a state you call sleep that would be considered near death for Valerians. During this state, you become unconscious, experience hallucinations, and sometimes become aware while unable to move your bodies. The room was quiet. The human staff looked confused. Yes, said Captain Deho. Sleep is normal for us. Is there a problem? Not a problem, said Admiral Vex. But we must understand your species better for the safety of all. From today, all joint research teams will have additional Valerian security staff. After the meeting, Captain Deho met with the human staff. What happened? He asked. Yesterday things were fine. Today the Valerians think we're dangerous. I think it's my fault, said Unji. I told Ziv about sleep and dreams and sleep paralysis. He seemed scared. Deho sighed. To them, it sounds like we go through a death-like trance every day and think it's normal. Sleep paralysis must sound like a horror story. But why add security guards? Asked Minki. They're not guarding against us, said Deho with a small smile. They're guarding us. They think we're much tougher than they are if we can survive these near-death experiences daily. Admiral Vex updated his report about humans. He now considers us extremely resilient. Unji couldn't help laughing. So I scared them by telling them I have bad dreams? You showed them humans are weird, said Deho. We go through experiences every night that would terrify them. They respect us more now, even if they're also more afraid. That night, as Unji prepared for bed, she noticed a Valerian guard standing in the hallway outside the human quarters. He nodded respectfully to her. Good sleep, he said formally. Unji tried not to smile. Thank you. As she closed her door, she heard the guard whisper to another Valerian. They willingly enter the death trance now. I heard some actually look forward to the hallucinations. What kind of species does that? Unji laughed quietly to herself. If the Valerians were impressed by human sleep, wait until they learned about horror movies. How humans scared themselves on purpose for fun. Humans were weird indeed, but maybe that wasn't such a bad thing in space diplomacy. Captain Deho stood tall on the bridge of the Hanguk Explorer. His dark blue uniform was clean and perfect. Today was a big day. The biggest day in human history, maybe. After years of searching the stars, humans had finally found aliens. Captain, the Valerian ship is asking us to come aboard, said Heian. Her voice was steady, but Deho could see she was excited. They all were. Tell them we accept, said Deho. He turned to his team. Jiwon Taesung, you're with me. Jiwon was the best science officer in the Korean Space Force. She knew more about stars and planets than anyone on the ship. Taesung was head of security. His job was to keep them safe, but Deho hoped he wouldn't need to do much today. The three of them walked to the shuttle bay. None of them talked much. What could you say when you were about to meet aliens for the first time? Do you think they'll look like us? Asked Jiwon finally. I doubt it, said Deho. The odds of another species evolving to look like humans must be tiny. Their small shuttle left the Hanguk Explorer and flew toward the much larger Valerian ship. It was beautiful, with smooth curves and a surface that seemed to glow with soft blue light. "It's at least 3 times bigger than our ship," said Taesung, checking his tablet. "Their technology must be far ahead of ours. Be polite, be respectful. Remember, we represent all of Earth," said Daeho as their shuttle entered the alien ship's docking bay. The door opened, and they saw the Valerians for the first time. They were tall, taller than any human. Their skin shimmered like it had tiny rainbows moving under it. They had 2 arms and 2 legs, but their fingers were long and thin, almost like they had 6 joints instead of 3. Their faces had 2 large eyes that were completely black, small noses and thin mouths. "Welcome, humans," said one of the Valerians. Its voice was soft and musical. "I am Zal, ambassador of the Valerian Confederation. We are pleased to meet you." "Thank you for having us," said Daeho with a small bow. "I am Captain Daeho of the Korean Space Force. This is Science Officer Jiwon and Security Chief Taesung." The Valerians led them deeper into the ship. The hallways were wide and tall, with soft lights that seemed to come from nowhere. Everything was clean and smooth. "Your ship is beautiful," said Jiwon, looking around in wonder. "Thank you," said Ko. "We have been space travelers for over 500 of your Earth years. We have had time to make our ships comfortable." They entered a large room with a round table in the center. More Valerians were waiting there. "Please sit," said Zol, pointing to chairs that seemed made for humans. "We will talk, and then share a meal. Food is a good way to learn about each other, yes?" The talks went well. The Valerians were friendly. They wanted to trade knowledge and maybe set up places where humans and Valerians could work together. Daeho felt proud to be part of this moment in history. After 2 hours, Zal stood up. "Now we eat. We have prepared food that should be safe for humans based on the data you sent us." The humans followed the Valerians to another room. A long table was set with strange-looking food on shiny plates. "This is similar to your Earth plants," said Zal, pointing to something that looked a bit like blue rice. "And this is protein from our animal stock." The humans sat down and tried the food. It wasn't bad, a bit bland, but edible. Jiwon reached into her pocket and pulled out a small red bottle. "I brought hot sauce," she said with a smile. "I never leave Earth without it." Daeho laughed. "Jiwon puts hot sauce on everything." Jiwon poured a good amount of the red sauce onto her food and took a big bite. She smiled. "Much better." The Valerians watched her with wide eyes. "What is that red substance?" asked Zal, pointing to the bottle. "It's hot sauce," explained Jiwon. "It adds spice and flavor to food." "May I examine it?" asked one of the other Valerians. Jiwon handed over the bottle. The Valerian opened it carefully and used a small tool to take a drop of the sauce. The tool beeped and showed some readings. "This contains capsaicin," said the Valerian, sounding shocked. "That is a defense chemical in some earth plants. It causes pain." "Yes," said Jiwon with a nod. "That's what makes it spicy. It burns a little, but in a good way." The Valerians looked at each other. One of them whispered something to Zal. "You eat this on purpose?" asked Zal slowly. "Many humans do," said Daeho. "Different cultures on Earth have different spicy foods. Korean food, where we come from, can be very spicy. You seek out this pain? For pleasure?" Zal seemed confused. "It's not really pain," said Jiwon. "It's more like excitement for your mouth. Would you like to try some?" The Valerians stepped back quickly. "No, thank you," said Zal. "Our biology is different. This chemical would cause us great harm." Jiwon looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to suggest something dangerous." "No need to apologize," said Zal. "It is interesting to learn that humans can eat things that would poison us." The meal continued, but Daeho noticed that the Valerians kept watching Jiwon eat her spicy food with strange looks on their faces. Some seemed afraid. Others seemed impressed. After they finished eating, Zal took them to see more of the ship. They saw the engine room, the science labs, and even the Valerian living quarters. Your technology is amazing, said G1, looking at a star map that floated in the air. We have so much to learn from you. And we from you, perhaps, said Zol. Your species is surprising. As they were walking back to their shuttle, Deho overheard two Valerians talking quietly. They drink capsaicin for pleasure, whispered one. Imagine what they do to their enemies. No wonder they advance so quickly, whispered the other. Any species that enjoys pain must be incredibly tough. Deho hid his smile. The Valerians had gotten the wrong idea about humans, but maybe that wasn't so bad. A little fear could be useful in space diplomacy. Back on the shuttle, Taesung laughed. Did you see their faces when you pulled out that hot sauce, Jiwon? They looked like you were drinking poison. I was just trying to be polite and eat their food, said Jiwon. I didn't mean to scare them. Don't worry about it, said Daeho. First contact was always going to have some misunderstandings, but overall I think it went well. They want to have more meetings tomorrow. And they seemed much more willing to share technology after lunch, said Taesung with a grin, as their shuttle docked with the Hanguk Explorer. Daeho thought about the day. Humans had met aliens, and the aliens thought humans were weird for liking spicy food. It wasn't what he had expected from first contact, but it was a good story to tell. And if the Valerians thought humans were a little scary because they could eat hot sauce, well, that might just help humans get better deals in their new friendship with the stars. G1, said Daeho as they walked off the shuttle. Bring extra hot sauce tomorrow.